Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to 2021. I hope you managed to enjoy some downtime and playtime over the holidays. Apologies for the lack of uploads the last couple of weeks. As well as taking some time off, I also had to rewire my setup, which took a little bit longer than planned. But now that's all done, I should be able to get back to a more regular schedule. Now there's not been a huge amount going on news-wise in the last few weeks, so let's just jump in with something more recent, and that was the release yesterday of some new footage from the PSVR version of the upcoming Hitman 3. Due out on the 20th of January, this is a AAA title that I'm sure many of us are looking forward to, and hopefully developers IO Interactive can do something special with the franchise's first foray into VR. The new footage showed a lot of new locations that we haven't seen in the VR version until now, and also a lot of new interactions, which again brought up the question of just how this is going to control, as the devs have always stated that it will only be supporting the DualShock rather than the Move controllers. You can see in the video that at various points some actions, like holding the newspaper or holding the piano wire, are using two hands, whereas other actions, like the pistols and the punching, are done with one hand. It could be that it controls similar to something like the pixel-ripped games, where moving the DualShock moves both arms together, and you can pull the R1 or R2 triggers to specifically use the left or right arm, using the gyros to swing. Having said that, at times it does look like the kind of fluid movement you'd get from the Move controllers. Is it possible that the devs have snuck in some Move controller support without telling us? Seems unlikely that they'd do that without mentioning it, so I wouldn't get your hopes up just yet. It could just be down to the use of canned animations or some clever inverse kinematics to give it that natural look. Remember that games like Resident Evil 7 have relied on the DualShock in the past and been perfectly serviceable, even if perhaps not quite as immersive as games that use the Move controllers. Keep in mind that if you own Hitman 1 and 2, then this game will allow you to play the locations from those games in VR as well. Those games are currently on sale, so it could well be worth picking those up in advance. However, it's also possible that they'll release those additional levels as paid for expansions post-launch, so we'll have to see which route offers the best value. Also, remember that only the PS4 version of Hitman 3 is going to support VR, but if you purchase the PS4 version, you'll get free access to the PS5 version if you want to play on flat screen with the enhanced graphics. And conversely, if you buy the PS5 version, you'll get free access to the PS4 version, so either way you're going to have access to both versions. We don't yet know whether the PS4 VR version will be able to take advantage of the PS5's added power to provide high resolution, in the same way that Blood and Truth did, but that would obviously be a big bonus as it would allow higher resolutions, potentially greater texture detail, and maybe frame rate boosts. Speaking of that extra bit of PS5 power, developers Synth Studio recently commented that they've been talking with Sony about bringing a PS5 patch to everyone's favourite chop 'em up Swordsman VR. It's all sounding positive and looks like we might be able to benefit from that patch in the near future. Again, we don't yet know exactly what that will include, but it's probably safe to say it would be a boost in terms of resolution or frame rate and possibly texture quality. Aside from that, as always, Synth Studio continue to add new features to Swordsman in the meantime, and if you missed the recent Claws update, then I recommend jumping back into it and seeing if you've got what it takes to beat Claws himself. You can find some gameplay footage from that update elsewhere on this channel. Okay, just a brief look ahead now to a handful of the upcoming titles that we can hope to be seeing in the next few weeks and months. Spaceteam VR from developer Cooperative Innovations is a manic multiplayer game that tasks you and your motley crew with keeping your spaceship in good working order. Originating on mobile and already released on PC and Quest, the game fires random, increasingly frantic orders and requirements at each player, to which they have to respond by performing certain actions, some of which rely on interacting with your fellow teammates. The PSVR port's been in development for some time, but will hopefully be ready within the first quarter of this year. Next up, another long-awaited title that's previously been released on PC and Quest, but is yet to make its PSVR debut. Synth Riders from Klug Interactive and Retrowave VR is another spin on the rhythm action genre, competing with titles like Beat Saber and Audica, and has already proved itself more than worthy on the other platforms. Players have to move their way through a variety of different levels, each mapped around a particular music track, and have to punch, shoot and dance their way to a high score. The game currently has around 50 to 60 tracks to work through, and has had various expansions and challenges added since it first launched, and hopefully these will all be available to the PSVR version once it's ready. Again, Synth Riders has been a long time coming, but should be launching within the first quarter of this year. Finally, some more rhythm shooter action from a title we already know and love. Pistolwhip 2089 from developer Cloudhead Games is the latest expansion to the core Pistolwhip experience, featuring 5 new levels backed by new music tracks from various artists. The expansion includes new weapons and enemy types with a distinctly Terminator-like vibe to it, all joined together by some great cartoon-style cinematics and narrative. The expansion came out for other platforms at the end of last year, but was slightly delayed for PSVR and will hopefully be releasing within the next few weeks. Now, that's only a handful of the upcoming PSVR titles from the beginning of this year, so just a reminder that on the website at psvrzest.com you can find a full timeline of all the known upcoming PSVR titles. Okay, that's all for this update. As always, if you find these updates useful, please hit that like button, and if you haven't already, please subscribe and click that bell to be notified of all future videos. Bye for now.